Okay, so on lesson 49, we're going to determine the equation of a line. So you need the slope. Get yourself 2 points. There's 2 already noted here. Find what the 2 points are, what their coordinates are. And you can use slope formula, or when you have the graph, you can do rise over run. So you do rise over run on this case, you get 15 over -5, which gives you -3. We know it goes through this point on the y-axis, so that's our b. So you write y equals -3x plus 8. Another example right here. From this point to this point, you're going to rise 7 and go left. You run 5, but it's to the left, so it's negative. It's going through 3 on the y-axis. So this will be your answer. Y equals -7/5 x plus 3. That should be a review. So hopefully that worked. Now let's look at this. So reviewing some geometry here, we know that if this is 158 degrees, then this is 158 degrees. If this is 158 degrees, then we know that P has to be 180 minus 158, so because they're a linear pair. So P is 22. To get M, I'm going to take the cosine of angle P, because that's adjacent over hypotenuse. So the cosine of 22, which is what P is the adjacent side M over the hypotenuse 5. Multiply both sides by 5, and you'll solve for M. Put 5 times the cosine of 22 in your calculator, and you'll get 4.6. In this case, it said to round to the nearest tenth. To get N, you're going to do the same kind of thing, but because N is opposite of the angle P, we're going to use sine. So sine of 22 is N over 5. Again, we're going to multiply both sides by 5 to clear the fractions. That allows you to solve for N. Put it in your calculator and you get 1.9. Okay, I'll let you do 4 on your own. The answer should be B. Okay, let's look at 50. In lesson 50, it starts off by saying, is this a quadratic equation? Well, you have to know what one is in order to know if it is or not. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you can't see it. There you go. And the answer is yes, because anything that has the leading term is x squared. It's a quadratic equation. So the leading term is the highest exponent. So this is a quadratic equation. So in number 2, it says find the quadratic equation that has 5 and 2 as the solutions. That means that when you solved it, you got x equals 5 and x equals 2. So write that down to start. Now this is like working backwards from taking like an equation like that one right there, factoring it, and then solving it for x. We're going backwards. We already know what x is. Take the 5 to the other side and set it equal to 0. Take the 2 to the other side and set it equal to 0. Now those would have been the factors. So take these 2 factors, multiply them together and set it equal to 0. Do FOIL, multiply this out and combine your like terms, and you get your original equation. Now if you look at this and you go backwards, you can see this is your original equation. You would factor it, you would separate the factors and solve for x. In this case, we have what x is. We bring them to the same side, we set them up as factors, we multiply and get our original equation. Okay, now completing the square. There's several steps that you'll need to write down and learn. Okay, so we'll blow that up a little bit for you. In the first step, we want all the x terms on one side alone, and it's where the x squared would be positive. So the x squared is positive on the left, so I'm going to bring the -6x over here, it'll be positive, and I'm going to take the -1 to the other side. That puts my x terms on one side alone, and the x squared is positive. Then you take the coefficient of whatever the x is, in this case it's a 6, you divide it by 2, and then you square it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, square root of 3, and you get a 9. And then you add that to both sides. So I had x squared plus 6 equals 1. It's going to be x squared plus 6 plus 9 equals, and it's 1 plus 9, 10. Then you change the left side to a perfect square. The way you do that is you put it in parentheses, x, look to see what you squared, not what it was after it's squared, but before, and it's a positive 3. And then you take the square root of both sides and just solve. And I'll show you the steps on this one too, so you can look at that. You can pause and look at this a little bit closer if you want to. Okay. Make sure you write down the steps on how to do it and then learn those.